to prevent the government scrapping the Education Maintenance Allowance, the EMA, for students. Ministers plan to remove the means test allowances of up to £30 a week for students in England aged between 16 and 19. The opposition motion was defeated in the Commons a little earlier this evening. Let's just listen to that moment.
The ayes to the right, 258. The noes to the left, 317.
The ayes to the right, 258. The noes to the left, 317. So the noes have it. The noes have it. Unlock.
Well, that was the moment. Let's talk now to James Mills, founder of the campaign Save EMA. He was one of the first wave of recipients of the grant in 2003. We were talking to Graham Stewart, the Conservative MP and chairman of the Commons Education Select Committee a little earlier. He said, yes, it is regrettable, but this is just the financial reality now.
I think that's very disingenuous, and also somebody's meant to be an impartial chair of a select committee. I think he should be very careful what he says, as he's meant to stand over the review of that's looking into education maintenance allowances only next month. So I would advise Graham Stewart, and next time you speak to him, to say choose his words more carefully, because the idea that there's no money available for this is ludicrous. The whole point of EMA is about choices, and there's a clear choice this government for exactly the same amount of money that EMA costs. The government want to put through a marriage tax incentive, £550 million, and it's got a massive dead weight. I want our government, whoever they may be, to turn around and say to the women from the most deprived backgrounds, we want to encourage you to get educated, not to get married.
What about the argument, though, that it is expensive and wasteful? It costs £36 million to run. Yeah,
but you can listen to Graham Stewart, but actually the economic argument, again, is against him, and that's not my words. The National Audit Office actually say it saves the economy £4 billion. Now, if you bear in mind that if you take the government's argument on its face value, which I don't, I believe the dead weight is actually nowhere near what they're saying it is. But even if it is, for every person not in education, employment or training, that costs the UK taxpayer, for each one of those people, £50,000. Now, if the government argument's right, that puts about 70,000 people on EMA. So that's blown it out of the water as well. And let's go further beyond that. For every 100,000 people, now there's 600,000 people on EMA, but every 100,000 people that go on the dole, that costs the taxpayers, your viewers, you, me, and everyone in your studio, that costs them £500 million. Again, the same amount of money as EMA.
You were one of the first recipients of this, James Mills. What did you spend this money on?
Oh, well, I'll be totally honest with you, I spent 2/3 of my money. I got £30 a week, and I grew up in London, so you imagine it's quite expensive, even more now. Boris has raised the fares. But I spent 2/3 of it on travel alone. But, you know, and the other bit I spent on, sometimes I gave a bit to my family, to my father, I was a single-parent family. And, you know, I really contest this argument that there's something wrong about kids sometimes spending it on loose items. Maybe if I saved up now and then, I'd buy a CD. But when you come from a household income on £21,000 a year, I didn't get pocket money. And the argument that this is some sort of a bad thing, that people can sometimes economise and spend money on an item when they're working really hard from very hard deprived backgrounds, I think is ridiculous. It's almost the the deserving poor and undeserving poor. You know, at the end of the day, there's no group of people that live some rock and roll lifestyle in EMA. All the evidence by the IFS actually showed in the early pilot studies that most of these kids are giving it sometimes to their own family members, like their parents, like I did sometimes, to buy groceries. Okay. So it's absolutely absurd, the argument that was coming across from us. And I think the idea that this government think that paying down our deficit means you've got to unskill, and you just had figures there showing that 16-24 age group youth unemployment is rising. I guarantee you'll be showing that again when they scrap EMA, because you're unskilling our economy, when by 2020, according to the Treasury, there'll be only 600,000 jobs in our economy for unskilled, unqualified people. Okay. I think it's very risky.
James Mills, founder of the campaign Save EMA, we must leave it there. Thank you very much.
Let's bring you some breaking news on that former banker who's handed over quite a lot of information to WikiLeaks. We were reporting earlier that